Okay, so today we're going to start off by getting the feel for soil. Obviously, I wish that you were here getting the feel for soil, but I'm going to do the best that I can to kind of like tell you what it feels like so that you can experience just like you were here. And I'm sure that you guys have, well, I'm not sure, maybe people haven't felt sand, but I'm sure most of you guys probably have felt sand, played in a sandbox. So I put a little bit of sand in my hand. If you have not, get you a little bit of table salt. I don't know, you can do this at home. So I'm gonna rub the sand into my hand so it should feel gritty, kind of like sandpaper. And this is a really fine sand. Feels like I'm giving myself a nice little exfoliation on my hands. But it's rough. I can feel the individual grains of salt. It's not at all sticky. It breaks apart easily into individual grains. So, better bring the trash can close. Oh my goodness, my trash can's full of water. Okay. Grab a bucket. So while you guys were gone, my shop like flooded basically. Our ceiling is leaking big time. Okay. So after the sand, we're gonna do the silt. So I have some silt here. So I'm just gonna put just a little bit in my hand. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it. And then I'm gonna feel. So if you went outside and made a mud pie, it would feel about like this. We do have a lot of silt in our soil. So I can feel some individual grains, but it doesn't feel sticky. There's no stickiness to it. It's smoother than the sand, but I can feel some grains, but it's not sticky. So it feels smooth. Feels pretty smooth. I can feel some grains, but not all of them. I'll get these out of the way now. Okay, so the last one that I'm gonna feel is clay. So clay, remember, was the one that super fine, very small. So if you wanted to try this at home, you could put some flour in your hand and you would get a similar effect. So I'm adding some water, rubbing it in. It really, yuck, it really feels just like flour. So it's sticking to my finger like clay, like Play-Doh, like modeling clay would. So there's clumps of it. It's very sticky, but it's also very smooth. So it's very slick. There's no big particles in that. So it's sticky, but it's also very slick or very smooth. So that is our calibration, so we can kind of feel what they feel like individually. So remember, all of our soils outside, they're gonna have a percentage of sand, silt, and clay. They're just particle sizes. They don't typically come 100% clay, 100% sand, 100% silt, unless you buy them from a lab aids company and they separate them for you. Or if you went to the beach, you would have mostly sand, 99% sand or whatever. So we get a feel for them individually. So the next thing that we're gonna do is test some soils from this area for the most part and see if we can kind of try and figure out what type of soil that they are. So I'm gonna stop here so I can wash my hands. All right, so I think I'm ready for our first ribbon test. So I've taken sample 1 and I decided, why am I gonna wash my hands? So I'm gonna get them dirty again, so I didn't wash my hands. I got this soil kind of broken down and then I added water to it and I have now made it about the consistency of Play-Doh. So to do a ribbon test, you push the soil between your finger, your pointer finger and your thumb, and you're pushing out a ribbon. So, and then your ribbon breaks. And at that point, what you're gonna do is measure it. So this ribbon would be right at 5 centimeters. I'll do it one more time. to make sure I get a consistent result. And this is very, very smooth, but kind of sticky. I'm pushing it through, and it breaks. Let's flatten it out. Okay, this one's a little bit longer. It's hard to show you. It's just over 5 centimeters or 2 inches. I've done this enough. I don't need a ruler. I would have you guys in here with rulers, and the shop would be a complete mess, the whole shop, but instead I'm only going to have my one little messy desk area here. So sample 1 is done. And I'm going to pause because it takes a really long time to get your sample worked up and kind of get that ball that you need. So I'm going to stop between each one just because it would be really boring watching me add water, squish, squish, add some soil, squish, squish, add water, squish, squish. So it takes a long time. So I'm going to stop. Okay, so I believe I'm ready with sample 2. I will say I forgot to do the field test for you guys, so I was filming with number 1, but it was very smooth. It wasn't super sticky. It just felt very, very smooth. So I'll make sure that I demonstrate that with sample 2 for you. So it took me a while to get sample 2 worked up, but I think I'm close to where I need to be. It's not perfect, but it's getting close. All right, so this one is very sticky. I'm pushing it through, making my ribbon. All right, it broke in 2 pieces. You can see, let me try it one more time. It was over 2 inches. Losing little pieces of it. All right, it's still, that one is about 1.5 inches. So I think I could probably go with 1.5 inches on that one. Yeah, we'll stick with that. Okay, so I have just enough left on my hands. I could get a little pinch. I don't have to, but get a little pinch. And then you add water and you rub it together. This one is very sticky. It's a lot stickier than the last one, so I can tell it's got a lot more clay in it. Even though my ribbon wasn't quite as long, it's got a lot of clay and really not a lot of grip. It's very sticky, smooth, not a lot of sand in there because you'll be able to feel that sand. So I'm going to stop and get the 3rd sample. All right, so I've got sample 3 ready. So we'll get started on it. And these samples, they don't seem too terribly different. I just picked 3 random samples. Normally I have groups do 6 because we just do everything in 6 groups because it works out well number-wise. So I just picked 3. So sorry they don't seem to be super different. Okay, so, woo, very sticky. Little flashes of gold flecks in there. It's weird. No problem here making a ribbon. Okay, so it broke right around 2 inches. I'm gonna do it one more time. I know they're all breaking about the same. Yeah, no problem. It is all squeezed out basically before it broke. So no problem getting over 2 inches on that ribbon. So now I've got enough in my hand. I'll do the field test. And this one's a little bit grittier. It had some rocks in it that stabbed my hand. So just a little bit of sand. It is very smooth and a little bit sticky, so hands kind of want to stick together. But I wish you guys were here because it's hard to explain. But it's sticky, it's smooth, and a little bit gritty. So I'm gonna stop here